Alrighty, my friends. Welcome back. Another week, and we've got the second part of this career design brief thing going on. As I said before, it's a design brief. This stuff is not going to happen for a little while. Some of it seems like it's going to happen sooner than later. Argo SRV is now coming in the 3.20 branch, but we've got plenty of work to do before cargo really reaches the state that they're talking about here. So a lot of stuff going on. We're getting back into more exciting time with Star Citizen news with CitizenCon next month. Let's start it off, hopefully, with a good second episode of this and maybe some deeper explanations of how cargo will work on a more macro scale than what they've been saying. Here we go.
So basically, NAPU is what we like to call it. It was like USPU before. We had Intel PU, we had the Austin guys. I'm not sure if they had an acronym. So I guess North America PU made sense.
Do you like NAPU as a name?
Yeah, it's all right. It sounds like NABU almost.
Guess you can, yeah. Couldn't really do that with USPU.
Care about cargo?
Wait.
Or why should you care about cargo?
Wait, you totally could. It would be called USPU. Why weren't they called USPU?
And to me, the answer is because I never thought of Star Citizen as just FPS. In fact, I would say the thing that makes me the most excited about Star Citizen is that it's a whole world of people who have their own ambitions and goals, and they're interested in different things. And to me, cargo represents a way to get into the world, to play with your friends in order to engage with other players, even in this dynamic way. You have all of this player interaction that comes around hauling the cargo, dealing with pirates, hiring people to defend yourself from pirates. And it generates this whole kind of economy and simulation of player interactivity. And I think this kind of thing is at the root of what makes Star Citizen special. Today in the game,
it's literally the backbone. Like, right? That is what everything in society revolves around, or at least in I guess these more space-based, future-based, extra-solar societies, moving goods, protecting those goods, and then other people trying to steal those goods. Everything else revolves around that, besides those science people. They're just doing stuff, they're exploring and stuff. But like, it's such an important part of the process. It's a huge part of the game. It's a bummer that we're just now getting to it now, but it's nice that we're finally getting to it, as always.
Kind of thing is at the root of what makes Star Citizen special. Today in the game, we've had all of this, what I call instantaneous cargo.
When you're in the real physical world, things don't just appear and disappear in your car, right? A person going to Costco, they don't just click on a few things in the kiosk and it magically appear at the back trunk of their car.
I wish.
That kind of magic way of opening inventory is going to disappear, and it's going to become that warehouse inventory.
With these new changes with the freight platform and the cargo grid and inventory container boxes and needing to move things manually with the tractor beam, it is going to add a certain amount of friction into that whole experience.
The benefit of manual loading is really that you get to choose how you organize your cargo and how you get to load it on your ship. You know, you've got one guy that's loading the bigger boxes with the vehicles. You have your other friend that's loading in, your ship weapons. Another maybe is loading up commodities for a long haul. And you can organize that, snap everything to the cargo grid, tractor beam it onto your ship, and head out with your friends for an adventure across the verse.
I feel like every ship that has a hangar bay like this is going to need an outlook, an overlook on top of it. And I guess it kind of works when you have if all your hangars kind of drop down like this, everybody can always be standing up at the top. But there's no way you're going to be able to easily snap all this stuff into place like this and not move stuff around without being up above. So that feels like it's already going to be a big thing to think about if you're really getting into organizing stuff like they're talking about. But let's hear why that would be important.
And you can organize that, snap everything, and adventure across the verse.
Hit us with the details. I really just want to learn something new, We've had design documents on this stuff, and we've had rumors and thoughts, and we want tos for such a long time. I want to hear something Confirmed now. Let's go.
At the heart of what Star Citizen aims to achieve. Not just a universe of exploration and conflict, but one of commerce and opportunity as well. And last week we shared the first part of its next iteration with a discussion of freight elevators, instanced and persistent hangars, varied cargo boxes, and a new cargo grid that'll expand the possibilities of your ships in new and exciting ways. So here in part 2, we're going to dive a little deeper into the systems underpinning it all, starting with how we intend inventory to evolve next.
Inventory actually sounds like a more believable change for coming up soon.
Speaking of inventory changes, this leads us to what I think is one of the other very big transformations that's happening with these new sets of features.
So instead of having something like a magical bag of holding, you actually have a place where you can go to put your items, to store them, and you know that it's safe while you go out and do future travels. One thing that we want to do is really kind of physicalize inventory in terms of you need to be at a specific location to use that inventory and management. So this gives us a lot of benefit across the game where you know exactly where your stuff is and where to get it and where to go to organize it.
Right now we have to use the app called Knickknacks for that. Does anybody use Knickknacks? Tell me in the comments. I gotta know. Because Knickknacks has opened my eyes to the powers of search. Not being able to, like, when you don't know where something is and you look at the amount of layers we're going to have in this game, you go from a galactic level down to a system level, down to a planet level, down to a moon level, down to an outpost level in order to filter out inventories. To do that for every outpost on every moon and every planet, every space station is crazy. And they ask you to do that with Knickknacks without searching. And it's nuts. So I can't wait to hear what they have planned to track this stuff, because the current one, the one that they introduced to us just 2 years ago, I think it was, is not doing it right now. I need help. Help me out. Give me search. Come on.
Now you'll be accessing that inventory via the freight platform and the hangars. You'll be using the freight platform to put it down. If you want to take something out, you use the freight platform to take it out. And you can use these inventory container boxes that I mentioned previously in order to optimize that kind of hauling. Let's say you realize you have a lot of guns that you want to take with you. Well, in the kiosk inventory management screen, you can move those items into a single box to aggregate them together so that you just use one pass with the tractor beam in order to move it all onto your ship. It also means that you'll have the ability to haul larger things in the game more efficiently by taking them and putting them into these larger boxes, such as ship items that maybe you purchased or stole.
If you want
Was that, I don't know if that was the same segment as from last week, but I feel like I'm going to need to listen to this a few times. Because I'm trying to think of the times when you would put a bunch of the same item into a box if you weren't just shipping it for bulk goods. Like either you're equipping your org or maybe or otherwise you're shipping it for money, right? So how often would somebody be doing this as opposed to just having, I don't know, a whole loadout, a gun, a helmet, armor, undersuit, multi-tool, all of that grouped in a box as opposed to a bunch of guns, because then you have your packaged loadout. I don't know. Just trying to think of why this scenario is significant enough to talk about, but I don't want to slow down the reaction, so let's keep going.
Larger boxes, such as ship items that maybe you purchased or stole.
If you want to do some kind of underground assaulting mission, you just bring your big guns and everything, and you also load that into your ship. So everything is going to be really physicalized and no more kind of magic stuff popping here and there.
In addition to the freight platform access, we want to give players the ability to access smaller items without having to go to a hangar. And for this, we're going to add some kind of what I call an item bank. And this is just like a secure box kind of access point in the landing zone so that you don't have to go to a hangar, and it'll look very similar to the other personal inventory interactions. And you can move smaller items around there, such as handguns or meta pins. But again, tying it to a physical location in the game and getting rid of this kind of magic.
Yeah, that's I like that. That's a solid compromise, because I want it to be super deep and restrictive, But for smaller items to be able to get access to those easily, a freaking pair of shoes or something, a helmet, like the easy stuff, yeah. And I think I'd even be cool with that at like a space station too. Magic it away, whatever it needs to be. A little bit of leeway on this sort of a system, I'm down for. And I'm glad that that's the kind of info that I've wanted to hear about. Now we know a bit more about how the system's going to actually work in game.
We're taking that and also applying it to the inventory in the vehicles. Right now in the game, you can hit I while you're inside of a vehicle, and you'll see a similar kind of invisible magical inventory for the vehicle. We're going to be getting rid of that and instead replacing it with a combination of access points like glove compartments in the ship, as well as those inventory container boxes, so that you'll still be able to haul personal items and larger vehicle parts between locations in the game, but you'll have to do it in a way that's physically tied to actual entities that are attached to the cargo grid, as well as exposing it in a way for people to be able to reclaim them from a wreckage or maybe even pirate.
I would love for the separate inventories to be grouped. So if you put something in the front section of this, Scorpius, and you put something in the other side of the Scorpius, you could access both those sides from the same point. I would like that for small ships, but then you think about how that would work for like a Javelin or an Idris or something that's pretty big. Suddenly you could very easily transport things across large distances easily and like kind of game the system. So that's gonna be cumbersome. But this is the system that we signed up for. This is what we thought it was going to be the whole time.
Container boxes.
Here we go.
You'll still in the game, but you'll have to do it in a way that's physically tied to actual entities that are attached to the cargo grid, as well as exposing it in a way for people to be able to reclaim them from a wreckage or maybe even pirate.
So, lots of changes coming with everything being physicalized, everything stored in boxes, and no more magic bag of holding.
No wins yet.
How will you inventory your inventory? Well, that's where the new hangar kiosk comes into play.
Ah, here we go.
Freight elevators are going to be implemented as an access point inside of player hangars.
Oh man, guys, I'm real nervous. This has got to be a good UI. This is a super important UI. I'm real nervous about this.
And you'll use a kiosk to interact with the freight platform in order to call things up from your inventory or to put things into your inventory.
The player controls the freight elevator through the freight elevator kiosk because we have to coordinate between 3 different doors. The kiosk is what determines when the door should open, when the door should close, when the cargo get loaded and all that stuff. So that is
not
the
have a UI
thing that's basically going to bring up cargo for you and then also like take cargo from you when you sell it.
The kiosk is going to be the center point of a hangar. This is really where you'll manage everything. So it's not just the cargo stuff that you manage through the kiosk. You will be able to manage.
We're watching a design brief. There is no UI.
Your inventory, basically bringing up the stuff, sending it back. It's also going to be those small items. You also going to have some sort of inventory box that you will be able to interact with, to put stuff in it. Basically, everything is going to go through that kiosk. So everything is central to the kiosk.
The kiosk.
It's easy to see how all of this will redefine the open sandbox experience at the core of Star Citizen's persistent universe. But what if
that was a very anticlimactic segment. I thought they were going to go deeper into what the kiosk was. It's basically just an access point.
Or prefer speculating on the market economy around it all? Well, the purview of Napu is to construe for you, too.
Napu.
We are going to have missions in the game that latch on to this. So for example, you'll be able to take a mission where a corporation like Crusader will ask you to haul their cargo for them. And this is an opportunity for players to engage with this kind of gameplay of hauling and manual loading without having such a large investment in the game, right?
Actual hauling instead of trading.
Now, cargo has largely been required to have a large investment, speculation, and risk on the part of the players. And where we're going is we're going to be reducing that risk for certain sets of players who don't want to engage with that kind of speculation, while still allowing them to have this kind of fun, manual loading, kind of packing experience. On the other hand, if the thing that you are more interested in is that kind of speculation and that kind of trading and wheeling and dealing and trying to just cut the best profit, we are still going to have a certain amount of automated loading in the game. It just won't be instantaneous. You'll have to use a service. It'll cost a little bit more. It'll take time. You won't have access to your ship while it's being loaded. But, depending on the kinds of gameplay that you're looking for, if you enjoy that more physical kind of gameplay, we'll have that there for you. If you're more interested in just kind of profit trading, we'll also have a path for you there too. So I think in this kind of new world of cargo and all these new features that we're coming out with, we're trying to make sure that for all the people that are looking to play with this, that there's something there for them.
Okay, that all made sense, but I'm trying to figure out why he focused on personal trading with cargo hauling being more restrictive from your ship. If you're hauling Crusaders goods in a hull C and you have to load Crusaders goods on your ship, why would you have to wait any less than if you were doing it with somebody else's goods? That was an interesting distinction to make. I'm sure I'm just missing something here in the moment, but I'm wondering why that was the distinction as opposed to basically just the fact that you're doing missions instead of like free trading. This is like the difference between running a salvage mission versus going out into the black and like just trying to find random ships to salvage, right? But clearly they're linking it more along the lines of like trading and speculation and the actual market, which leads into quantum and the economy. So hopefully they'll talk about that too here. I'm sorry, let's keep going with it.
And of course, all of this comes with a large amount of economy tuning that's going to need to rebalance things now that we have physicalized movement, guaranteed friction on the transactions. So all of these things we can use to rebalance it and hopefully make it to where if you're interested in taking high risks, there's a path for you to maybe get a better profit. Vice versa, if you don't want to, there's still a way for you to be able to play the game and not be overly punished. That's going to be an ongoing endeavor, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer to release.
Release of what?
So lots of changes coming to Star Citizen with the work being done by the North America Persistent Universe team. So let's go ahead and let them bring it all home and see if we can't maybe just sneak in one more tiny, big addition people have been waiting for too.
Another big thing that we're working on is unique item recovery. This is something that the fans have been asking for a long time, and we're hoping that it's really gonna finally resolve this problem of losing items or losing items.
Resolve this problem, he said. There's so many ways to characterize how much gnashing of teeth this problem has caused. It should have been here earlier, I agree, but it does make sense that it's happening with the cargo overhaul.
Mid-mission.
It looks like a simple subject, but there's a lot of little things to think about, like people buying some gear, giving to their friend and claiming it back. What happens to the version that was given to their friends, or even like if your body gets looted by somebody, how do we want to kind of cope?
Friends, or right.
Even like if
the like kind of janky animation slide. Oh man, that's good.
Looted by somebody.
And then don't even ragdoll, man.
How do we want to kind of cope with that?
So one of the ideas that we have running right now is that you would have a lost and found within your hab. So if you're playing, your mission crashes, you lose your progress, but you can go back to your hab, restart that mission, grab that item, and continue on where you left off. And we're really hoping to apply this to subscriber items and other unique items as well.
I think in the long run, we have a lot of plans. Just really trying to build out a feature set that can incorporate a lot of different ships, that can incorporate your teams, that allows you to be more in control and allows you to try to find the best ways that work for you and your group. And right now, that's the main thing we're working on.
Our universe is big. We're going to keep building more systems, more planets, and we really want to find a way to make that exciting. We want to have you take goods from one planet to the other, explore places that you haven't seen. Loading up, organizing all of your gear, all of your equipment, having it snapped to a grid, keeping everything safe. And it's a huge part of Star Citizen and where we want to go with the game.
That is a summary of that we're working towards for physicalized cargo. Now, this is going to be an ongoing process, starting with the first set of changes coming out with 320, automated loading in with the whole C, and the new packing system that's coming out there. But we'll continue this work of adding these things like freight elevators, hangar instancing, persistent hangars, inventory containers, all of that, and continuing into subsequent releases. So I hope you enjoyed hearing about it, and I think I'll be back a few more times to get into more details about those things.
I think
look
so.
forward to seeing what they're developing in the future, and then also showing it off to the community and team.
Just randomly stuck
what did we
Todd in
learn
the end
last
there.
2 weeks? Whew. Well, we learned that freight elevators will allow us to fulfill the dream of fully physicalized cargo. The instance hangars will give us the time to load and unload our ships without creating too many traffic jams. That persistent hangars will be the first real estate players can decorate and call their very own. That cargo boxes are expanding to hold all kinds of stuff from personal inventory to ship weapons to even some small vehicles themselves. That this all means a new way of storing and moving your inventory all around the galaxy. Utilizing the new hangar kiosk will certainly help. That everything from missions to economy will expand and rebalance to accommodate for this. That there's still going to be some automated options for those willing to spend the time or the money, and that there's finally a light at the end of the tunnel for lost items in the works. Well, you could say it's a pretty good haul overall. I'm not usually the pun guy. Now don't forget that Alpha 320 is out there for everyone to play, and that CitizenCon is just 4 weeks away. For Inside Star Citizen, I'm Jared Huckabee. Thanks for letting us share the process of game development with you, and we'll see you all here next week. And breathe.
It's kind of like Alpha 3.20 is out for everyone to play, kinda. So, first thing that's coming to my mind about all this is going to take a while. Design briefs are usually pretty early, as you can tell from what we've just seen. Most of this doesn't even have working prototype work going on. I mean, the tractor beam stuff has to be far enough along for them to show us stuff. They're just holding that probably for like CitizenCon or something. I don't know. They want that to release with, yeah, they're going to host that at CitizenCon and be like, oh, this is coming out with 3.20.1, which is available now. The other stuff though, the freight elevator, I mean, we know that's been worked on. A lot of this stuff has been worked on, we know. So they're holding stuff back for whatever reason to build hype. I don't know. But I do think that this is going to take longer than the next 2 patches. I'm thinking we might see freight elevators, and that's not including 320. Freight elevators, persistent hangars, and tractor beams, and one other thing. I don't think we're going to see the economy changes. Maybe the missions. I think we'll see missions. Actually, they've been working on that. I don't know. I might be wrong about that too. I see signs that this is close and also signs that this is far, so I don't know how to judge it. I'm not going to try and put a timeline on this, but the stuff they're saying is consistent with the stuff they've always said. It's consistent with the expectations they've given us, aside from that little personal items retrieval locker thing. I think that's a nice touch, and the unique item retrieval is going to make people very happy to hear. It didn't sound like they had super deep details on how that's going to work exactly, but I hope they can get that in definitely by 4.0. These changes are really good though. This is going to be a big part of Star Citizen overall. Everybody's got to interact with cargo at some point. They're making it very clear that there is a very deep version of this cargo hauling you can do, and there's also more of a light version where you just take contracts. I'm assuming that can size anywhere from an Aurora up to like a Hull C. So I like the way they're going about it. They're giving us choice. They're giving us variety. Now it's really going to come down to how does it play? How does it perform? And is the economy there to back it up? But that's probably another episode sometime far in the future from now. 3.20 is out and it has some interesting stuff going on. It's still pretty hard to get into. And there are some inventory bugs, which are kind of a bummer. If you're looking for a time to jump back in because you've been waiting for a more stable game, this isn't it. But it's got some nice stuff in it. Arena Commander's got a good update on it. And there's just some nice quality of life fixes going around. I would say wait until after CitizenCon at the very least. See what's going on with 320.1 and 320.2. See if they're more bug-free, more fixed up, how the tractor beams fit in. Maybe a couple missions, a couple new vehicles coming in there. And you also get your expectations set for 4.0. After CitizenCon, we'll probably have a better understanding of what's going to happen from now until next summer, which is going to be a big time for this game. Anyways, I'm rambling. Thanks for coming if you did. Thanks for watching and sticking around. I hope you've enjoyed this. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.